He's already on the road.
And taming him very well.
Marian.
Thank you.
Wanji.
Good morning, Church.
Yes, Sam.
Our governor and the governor we shall be installing in Arusha, both of them are on call.
Hello.
And Marion, please greet the governors.
Good morning, governors. Good morning, Governor Mike, and good morning, Governor Francisco. It's good to hear your voice. If you could say that before I am taken to Broadcasting House.
We can't go to Broadcasting House before the real governors of District 913 and governor-elect of District 914.
But they are all in the house.
Hello.
DGEPs, my DG John, DG Mike.
Morning, Rotarians.
How are you? How are you,
Happy
please?
New Month. Good morning, Rotarians. Good morning, our international friends.
Good morning, Governor. We are just testing your mic. We are just testing your mic before we go to Broadcasting House.
Good morning,
Agnes of Kigo, conclude the greetings. Agnes of Kigo, allow her to greet and she concludes before we go to Broadcasting House. Aggie.
The Broadcasting House is governed by the time, so we are moving to Broadcasting House.
Also, Changemaker President Stephen Jaffers from Yenga Sandy Sunset greets you all and thank you for being on call this morning.
Okay.
Good morning, President Stephen.
House.
Good morning, friends.
Over to Broadcasting House, ladies and gentlemen.
Excellent. Thank you very much. The morning crew, friends. It is always an honor and a joy to break the day with you every Thursday morning. Fellow Rotarians, Rotractors, guests and all friends of Rotary, allow me yet again amplify the joy of the day breakers to each and every single one of you that has plugged in our fellowship this morning. As usual, thank you. We thank you so very much. Yes, I again want to join the Rotary fraternity to welcome you to our new month of December, where we get to draw our focus to disease prevention and treatment. But again, we at daybreak are beginning our cruise in the hands of the Body Group Strawberries. It is now my privilege and pleasure to invite you, Patience Musime, to guide us through the flow of events today. Over to you, Patience.
Thank you, President. Can I have the lineup flagged on the screen, please? Thank you. Good morning, fellow Rotarians, Rotarians on call, and all friends of Rotary. Our lineup today is as follows. We shall have the Grace by Rotarian Esther Kakuba, the Loyal Toast by Rotarian Asuman, the Forward Test by Rotarian Julius Namara. We shall go through the Rotary information. Engagement of our speakers will be by DGEP Stalemwa. Our interaction session will be by AG James Onyoin. Vote of thanks by PE Edward Mogera. Our statistics will be said by Stephen Wakasenza. And the final toast will be by Wilbur Post Amanya. Let's have the lineup, guys. Thank you.
Thank you, Patience. Rotarian Esther, please take us away. I will invite you, Rotarian Irene, to give us the grace in the absence of Esther. No, I see Esther on the call. Esther, please give us the grace. Unmute and give us the grace.
Good morning, Rotarian, Retractors and guests. Am I audible? Am I audible?
You are loud and clear. Go right ahead.
Okay, let us have the grace. Abba, Father, we thank you for the gift of this beautiful day. We thank you for the gift of friendship, and we thank you so much for your providence. Dear Lord, in the same spirit, we confess that we are sinners and we have sinned against you in so many ways, in our words, in our thoughts, and in what we have failed to do. Dear Lord, we pray that you forgive us where we have fallen short of your glory. And as we fellowship today, Lord, let your will be done and your name be glorified. Holy Spirit, we welcome you to take charge of this fellowship. Amen.
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 Rotarian Asman, the loyal toast, please.
Thank you, President. Good morning, everyone. For the fellowship we are going to have, let's all toast to the health of His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Uganda.
His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Uganda. Before we test by my friend Rotarian Julius Namara, please guide us through.
Thank you, President. Good morning, Rotarians, Rotalectors, and friends on call. I hope I'm audible enough.
Loud and clear, go right ahead.
Thank you. The four-way test of Rotary of the things we think, say, or do. 1, is it the truth? 2, is it fair to all concerned? 3, will it build goodwill and better friendships? 4, will it be beneficial to all concerned? Thank you. Over to you, President.
Thank you so much, Buddy Group Strawberries, for reading us this far. We really appreciate. Allow me, comrades on call, to allow us 2 minutes to pick the vital Rotary information that there could be. So, colleagues, if you have Rotary information, I'm going to request that you raise your hand up, but you can still do it what my governor calls the Chichiga way. You can unmute and dive straight into it. Rotary information, colleagues. Any Rotary information, friends? Okay. I think Rotary information is still being onboarded, but I'm going to request that for now, if there is any Rotary information you would like to share with us, you're more than welcome to channel it through the chat section, and we will give it the due attention it deserves. But I don't know about you, but for me, I am super excited together with the daybreakers, and not just excited, we're also expectant of what is going to happen in Naivasha. Friends, if you're yet to register, we have 29 days to go on the early bird of $150,000. You know what? I look forward to the great celebration and interaction with comrades in Naivasha. So I'm going to request that if you're yet to register and pay for your early bird, you cannot afford to miss, because I know that it is going to be very, very, very epic. So with that, like I said at the beginning of our fellowship, that this month as Rotarians, we draw our attention and focus from, our focus from all other things and focus a bit on disease prevention and treatment. What a time it is coming from the month of Rotary Foundation. And again, I would like to say we can no longer afford. Yes, I know it has become part of us, but it is always good to take a moment and accept and realize that, hey, COVID-19 is still here, has posed a lot of, changes, and not just changes, and challenges as well. These challenges are global, national, but also they come down to an individual level. And I want to say that I like the call that our government has taken, and all our Rotary leaders, to us and all Ugandans that are eligible to take the vaccines. Vaccine hesitancy is still a very serious concern and challenge that is at hand. And believe me, you today, I really strongly believe and I'm convinced beyond any shadow of doubt that the missing link in this drive of vaccination has been the great muscle of Rotarians in the mobilization and call to the communities to take the vaccines. And this has yet been given to us as Rotarians, the leaders of influence we are, to extend our influence yet again to our communities across our country. So it is why we at Daybreak, and again under the guidance of our able leaders, district officials, and our government leaders through the Ministry of Health, we have been asked to have this space, and we are privileged to have this platform where we want to share a moment of how we can scale up the vaccination across our country. And the district has put together a lead team that is going to champion us, and they have a lot that they have prepared for us today. I want to request that you allow me right now at this moment to invite a friend and a leader in the names of our own DGEP Staremwa to not only briefly introduce the lead team that is preparing all this call and efforts towards rallying communities by Rotarians to take the vaccines, but also to briefly and in detail unpack what there is in store for us. DGEPs, it is my honor to invite you and hand over this audience to you at this particular moment. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Changemaker President Frederick and everybody on call. And it's my pleasure to come back to our super club, the Rotary Club of Kampala Daybreak. And it's not by accident that every other major intervention we have come back to you. It's just confirmation that the leadership of this club and the members and the Rotarians of the club are a group worth relying on. I thank you and pray that it keeps on, and we go through the sky until we can do many more things. I want to thank you for the introduction you have given to this team, and briefly we'll have our friends talk about this, but I wanted to give you a small background that everybody knows that COVID has been here and it has disturbed us, and also all of us know that there was a team which had been constituted by the president of this country, and they came up with interventions at the time. Now, at the beginning of last month, there was still yet another chat amongst themselves, and they looked up who and how the scaling up of COVID vaccination can be done. And I'm happy to inform you that Rotary came up as one of the partners of choice. From that meeting, we have had 3 meetings, and we have come up with a roadmap. I want to thank the leaders on call and leaders who may not be here, that we agreed that this drive be launched on Saturday. And we also realized that whereas we had our Eastern Mega Fellowship, we thought that it was still necessary to have a way forward. Way forward is that we picked on the weekend of 10th, 11th, and 12th. That will be the Rotary days where we shall have intervention by Rotary. Number 2 is that we came up with the communication teams, which will give us, which will support us during these remaining days until that time. They will give us the roadmap, and I'm sure that we shall be sharing it online as we move along. Then it was important to have a group of glovesmen, the people who do the real job apart from the real talking. And these are the kids, and we thought that it would be important to have the presidents of presidents who would lead in the real doing of the job. And I want to thank President of Presidents Kate of Sunday and President of Presidents Don, who have mobilized their clubs. That was another action point that we thought that it was necessary for them to mobilize the clubs, mobilize the presidents. In the background, we had the likes of Frederick Chitakure, who has been at the center of recording what we have been doing. I know they have many more people. Now, on this other team, which I was requested to talk about, we have our own Simon Kaheru. If you are talking about Simon Kaheru, you are talking about the representative of the private sector foundation of Uganda. And I know that at an appropriate moment, he's going to give us what we expect of the private sector foundation. On the other hand, we have Dr. Ian Clark, who is representing the private sector, the Uganda Health Federation. And this is an association of the private health practitioners and the institutions. Another person we thought was extremely very important was the Minister of Health, and this is represented by Dr. Olaro. Dr. Olaro is also going to give us what's happening in our country. Last but not least, and we thought that it was very important for our district governor, John, to be part and take lead in mobilization of our country. On behalf of District 9214, we thought that it was important that we allow the district governor-elect to be part of this journey, since, as you are aware, our district governor may have a bigger impact in Tanzania than she may have in Uganda, but with her blessings, she accepted that we take lead. It's now my pleasure to inform you what has so far happened. As mobilization was going on, we confirmed that 8 of our Rotary clubs in the country have already done this. They have already been part of the screening, part of the vaccination. As of yesterday, 27 clubs had between Saturday and yesterday, 27 clubs had accepted to join in the drive. And it's my pleasure to invite Dr. Olaro to give us what's happening in the country. Thank you very much, Dr. Olaro. Thank you very much, our friends and good partners from Kampala, the break. I will propose 5 minutes for each of these persons so that we can have the Q&A, which will be taken on by our own Dr. Onyoini.
Dr. Olaro, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Chair. Let me just share one or two slides. Just my apologies, Chair. I don't know why I'm getting some bit of challenges, but just a minute.
Don't worry, Dr. Olaro, after 50 years, that kind of things happen.
Okay, Chair, I wanted to, first of all, thank you for convening this meeting, and on the side of the ministry. I also want to introduce my colleague, Dr. Daniel Kabasi.
who is the director of public health and actually is the vaccine commander. But in the interest of time, I think I will make the presentation. I don't know whether on your side you're able to see the slides.
We can see the slides.
Okay.
Only request that you play them so they can be a little more visible.
Okay.
Fantastic. That's much better.
So I will give a national updates and then the accelerated mass vaccination of COVID. And then I will share a bit of our experience in Acholi and Kigesi. So as we speak now, the total doses administered are over 6 million, coming to almost 7 million. That's both the first dose and the second dose. Cumulatively, the first dose is about 5,700,000. And those who have received all the 2 doses is over 1,205,000. But what I hasten to say that we have been able to administer 1.8 million doses in the last, say, 3 weeks of the mass campaigns. So you almost see that over 30% of the doses have just been administered in the last 3 weeks. It's not that because the vaccines were not there, but just because the uptake and access was low. So in terms of the vaccine types, the dominant vaccine definitely is AstraZeneca, and you know very well that it was the first one where we started. But now we have Pfizer, Sinovac, Moderna, Sinopharm, and Johnson & Johnson. So if you look at, I am just showing this when we started initially because of constraints of vaccines, you remember we put some priority groups. And we're keeping this slide because we are interested in the group, mainly the elderly. First of all, I must hasten to say that the health workers have done quite very well. Almost 96.7% of them are vaccinated. But if you look at the elderly, who are really the vulnerable groups, and that's why even the lockdown was made and schools were closed to protect this group, we have only been able, those who have received the first dose, they are only 15.3, and those who are fully vaccinated are only 5.4. So this speaks almost the same thing which I did indicate, that our target was 22 million people. So far, 74 have never been vaccinated. 19 have received the first dose, and 7% have received 2 doses. Meaning that those who have received the Johnson & Johnson are assumed to be fully vaccinated, and those who have received 2 doses of the other vaccines constitute the 7%. So if you look in terms of the picture in the whole country, you will see definitely that the areas where you've seen more green is where more people are vaccinated. And if you look at the Teso and Lango and a bit of Wakiso and then a bit of Kisoro, if the uptake of vaccines have. So where you see really the red, like in Karamoja, Kotido, a bit of Kalangala, Buvuma, and Bulisa, the uptake has been low, very low. So this is how the ministry decided to cluster. So far we have done cluster 1, that was Teso and Lango. Cluster 2 is already ongoing, that is in Kigesi and Acholi. And then cluster 3, if you look at all of that western part up to the north, those 42 districts from the south to the north, that's what we think we should be starting like next week. And then the other clusters will follow to be able to cover all the 136 districts. So if you look in here, in Lango, we must say that coverage with the first dose is at about 68, Teso 60, Kigesi 29%, and Acholi 23%. So in the four clusters, the coverage is about 48%. So as I conclude, Chair, I want to give you a bit of the vaccine logistics update. We have received so far over 17 million doses of vaccines. The breakdown is as shown above. AstraZeneca, about over 5 million, Pfizer also 5 million, Moderna 2 million, and Johnson & Johnson 1.4, and Sinovac and the rest. We have distributed so far 10.5 million vaccines, and we still have over 6 million doses available in national medical stores. In terms of pipeline, quantity received is 17, but between today and March 2022, we expect to receive 26 additional doses of vaccines, which include Johnson & Johnson, which is procured by government, over 8.3 million doses. Then another Johnson & Johnson under the cover sharing facility, 9 million doses. And then the other doses will come through the sharing agreement. So this is the status. So now, Chair, the issue is not the vaccines are available. And as a ministry, we would be happy if like this, we could exhaust, even if we exhausted that 6 million doses during this campaign, it will be a very big achievement. But it's not only the 6 million which is available, because already some doses are already available already in the districts. So I would want to stop here, Chair, and just ask my colleague to use about 1 minute to just introduce himself and since he's the commander of the vaccines, to say something. Thank you, Chair. Dr. Daniel.
Thank you, Rotarian Charles Solaro, my boss. Rotarians, good morning. I'm calling you from Camden Corner. I'm happy to join in. I think I'll wait for the question and answer session to give more highlight based on what you'll have. But basically to let you know that we will have enough support as Rotary comes on board. It really costs about 1,300 Uganda shillings to vaccinate somebody. That's in terms of logistics and services people you pay to do the service. So as you do your budgeting based on the number of people you want to vaccinate, factor in that factor. And also that the number of people may have been vaccinated are more than what we are displaying because we have a big backlog of data entry. That's why some of you cannot easily access your vaccination card, because wherever we got the vaccination from, the individual personal data has not been fully integrated or uploaded in the system. So we apologize for that delay. Over to you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Minister of Health. On this, I would now like to request our own Dr. Ian from the Private Sector Foundation. Why must I do this? Our own Dr. Ian from the Uganda Health Federation to give us his remarks.
Good morning, Rotarians. Thank you very much. There's not much for me to say. Thank you for that presentation from Dr. Charles Olara, which brings us up to date. A couple of things that I would like to emphasize. One, which Dr. Daniel said, is about the backlog of data entry. This seems to be a bottleneck in terms of the whole system. So I think when you're doing your planning, pay particular attention to how the data can be entered on the system, whether it can be entered directly or whether it's recorded, but then we ensure that it's entered. In terms of volunteers, this is a particularly important aspect. The other thing that I think is important is that, and this can come in questions and answers from the Ministry of Health, because obviously the Ministry of Health are the important partners here, and they really have, as Dr. Charles said, they've already distributed many vaccines across the country. These vaccines are under the control of the district health officers. So it's important that each club finds out who their district health officer is, and then they set up the liaison with this person in terms of the accessing the vaccines. And I would say it's important also that when we access the vaccines, that it's a system whereby someone goes and brings the vaccines to the site where the vaccination is being done, rather than waiting for a Ministry of Health person to come. And I would be happy to have comments from Dr. Daniel about that. We were supposed to do some vaccinations yesterday at CIU, Clark International University. The person who was to supply the vaccines never showed up, and then said, oh, they had something else going on or whatever. But those kind of excuses, or those kind of bottlenecks, we need to be aware that they can happen, and for us not to get stuck at some sort of junior level where someone maybe hasn't, where the man with the key is gone and we can't get the vaccines. So otherwise, the organization of which I'm chairman of, which is Uganda Healthcare Federation, represents the private sector. Private health providers, really anyone in the private health side of things. So it could be pharmacies, it could be healthcare providers, it can be health professionals. It will be necessary to and I think in the budget, which will probably come later, there's an amount of 30,000 for facilitation for a nurse or a health worker to give the vaccinations. So please, I've informed our secretariat that when we find the clubs that are active, and if you need a nurse, then we can then link you to a health institution where you can actually get that nurse if you do not have already got volunteers within your own ranks. So please, my number's freely available for that. And I'm on WhatsApp as well to help. I believe that, I feel that Rotary is actually possibly the very best organization to ensure a nationwide campaign. I am delighted to hear what Dr. Charles is saying about the uptake in the clusters that they've already started. So that's encouraging, and I think if we use the communications, the mobilization tools that are already available, and we can involve enough clubs, then we can really make a dent in this thing. And we're not now looking so much at a shortage of vaccines. We just want to get people vaccinated. And I would also say with this new variant that has come up in South Africa, the Omicron, we're not yet sure what this means. But we do know the general advice is let's get vaccinated. Let's make sure people are fully vaccinated. And then, of course, in other countries, this is now developing onto people getting booster shots, whereas we want to get, the first and the second shots into the arms of people. So thank you very much for what you're doing. And we hope this campaign goes very well. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Ian, and I'm sure that as we go along, the question that is going to be brought to you and the Uganda Healthcare Federation will be. We know that you are paying the nurses, and the question will be whether this time around you are going to pay the allowances. But I know that you will think about how to give us an answer as we go along. We thank you so much, especially for your drive, because I want to tell everybody on this forum that Dr. Ian was the first person to get to us as Rotary, and I'm sure that he's done a good job. It's my pleasure now to invite our own Simon. If you have not heard about Simon Kaheru, then you came to Uganda yesterday. Now, I want to thank him so much because everybody knows that Simon Kaheru has been a friend of Rotary, and I know that every time we tell him to join, he tells us how he's about to join. Today, let's get to him, and he tells us about the intervention of the private sector foundation. Over to you, Simon.
Thank you, DG-elect Peace, and good morning all Rotarians here and fellow panelists, some of whom are also Rotarians. Allow me to switch my video off so that there's no issue with quality. I just wanted to show you that I am indeed awake and alive and bearded. I am, first of all, Ian and both doctors, Ian and Charles, have said very many useful things that I will not go over again. So I'm not going to beam the presentation that I prepared, but I will share it with you so that it can be circulated to all the different Rotary clubs as they implement their own vaccination programs. So some of you may know that the Private Sector Foundation of Uganda has, over the last few months, together with companies like ours, Coca-Cola, Uganda Breweries, Safe Border, and many others who shouldn't feel unhappy that I haven't mentioned them here, have been supporting the Ministry of Health to speed up vaccination in very many different ways. And I'm happy with what Dr. Chabainze said during his brief remarks when he pointed out that the cost of running a vaccination exercise per person is very, very minimal. The exercise itself is not expensive. The biggest hurdle, the biggest challenge that we need to deal with is mobilizing the resources and the people. And Ian underscored the issue of efficiency, because there's a lot of hesitancy out there, as we all know. So when people are hesitant and you convince them to come to a vaccination center, the last thing you want is for them to be turned back because they've not found vaccines available, or because they have to wait an additional 30 minutes where they were told it would take only 10 minutes. So what Rotary is bringing to the table here by running this nationwide campaign is going to be very, very important in ensuring that as many people as possible, and Dr. Olaro was very clear that the categories that the government had started off with are not the categories that we are pursuing anymore. The idea now is to get as many people as possible vaccinated. The document that I'll be sharing, and I believe DG-elect Peace, you have a copy of this already to share with the rest, details some of the things that in our experience we found to be very important as one sets up a vaccination center, including the logistics like tents, chairs, small things like refreshments. We found, for instance, that some people, if they know that they're going to find a bottle of soda at the end of that exercise, it makes them forget the pain of that jab much quicker. And when the breweries got on board, as many of you may know through experience, there was an even bigger uptake of the vaccines. Besides that, one of the key things that's been pointed out is the slow data entry, and I've seen somebody sending another comment. We are strongly recommending and want to provide additional support that data entry volunteers or data entrant volunteers be added to this particular initiative so that the certificates can come out faster, so that people can check, find their information and confirm they've been vaccinated. When they do that, then they also become ambassadors of vaccination, because they'll go out and tell the rest, it's true, I was vaccinated and I have my copy here. And it's going to be even more important because the reason we as the private sector got up and said we need to get into this exercise was to save lives, number one, but also to get the economy reopened. As you all know, we simply cannot do business if people are not vaccinated, and COVID still exists, which we know it will, as this last week has shown us. So one of the key things that we as private sector said is, let's ensure that as many people as possible walk through those doors or those tents, get the jab, then the economy will reopen and start running properly. And I'll tell you that as a PSFU, we have mobilized a number of members in the last few months to put up small amounts of money in order to support this exercise. Unfortunately, there's a lot of apathy out there about donating money to the government, which is not the fault of the Ministry of Health. Our people at the Ministry of Health are doing a stellar job at all these exercises. However, there was an issue with communication and the management of some information. Rotary coming on board and taking charge creates a whole world of a difference, because the respect that the Rotary clubs have across Uganda and of course across the world is much, much greater than the respect many other organizations have. So the voice that you put forward when you tell people come and get vaccinated helps a lot in convincing people to take the jab and to tell other people to take the jab. The efficiency with which you do it will help even more. And that's why we are going to mobilize more of our private sector partners to work with the different Rotary clubs wherever they might exist. So that if, for instance, next week we want to do a vaccination exercise in Namamve for the factory workers, we would want to work with the Rotary clubs in that general neighborhood of Mukono, as close as possible to Namambe, so that that additional voice brings people into the vaccination tents, working with the Ministry of Health. And that should be replicated countrywide, because as both Peace and Ian said, Rotary exists all across the country. So the sooner we get going, the better. The timelines have been made clear. We've agreed that the first round should be between the 9th and the 11th of December. And the timing is superb, what with this new emerging variant called Omicron, which is creating more excitement than should be necessary. But then the second round should take place in the 2nd or 3rd week of January, in order to allow for that time frame between the first and second jabs that's normally provided. So the opportunity here is great to have 2 events rather than 1, and to have that continuity of people getting their first jab with Rotary and looking forward to getting their second jab from Rotary. And again, here data entry comes into play in a big way, because all the people who get vaccinated now need to be contacted either by SMS or WhatsApp or phone call from Rotary to return for their second jab. And of course, while you're doing so, you might invite them to join the Rotary Club, which I can testify is a call that always keeps us on our toes. And those of us who are not yet members, one day we will be. I thank you very much, and I'll be here for questions and answers if I've left anything out or been unclear.
Thank you so much, Simon. Friends, I wanted to just a small intervention and invite this road tractor to give just 1 minute for a road tractor before I invite our Governor John. JB, please give us some message.
Thank you very much, TG. I am privileged and delighted to be with you this morning. I am also grateful for the opportunity that I had to attend the launch last weekend. I am humbled to report that when we went back to speak to the Rotaractors to come on board and support Rotary as our partners in service for this particular campaign, we were very excited to get this on board. I can now confirm for now that at least 4 Rotaract clubs on Entebbe Road have confirmed and found locations on where we are going to do the vaccinations from. Our approach is to work directly with communities. We don't want a scenario where people have to leave their places of work to go and get the vaccines. So we wanted to make sure that our locations are directly in communities. Yesterday, I also got a phone call from the Kajansi Daily Market, who requested us to have also a vaccination point right at the market so that people can be vaccinated and then head back to their businesses. I'm quite sure that by close of day tomorrow, I will have a complete list of vaccination points within Entebbe Road for the Rotaractors. And of course, some of us are going to be working with our mother clubs, and the dates are fine with us. We are grateful for this opportunity, and we are ready to serve and get people as vaccinated as possible. Thank you very much, TG, for the opportunity.
Thank you so much, our youth. The Rotaractors are our youth, our present and our future. And I want to thank the incoming speaker, Governor John. I want to thank you very much. I know that one of the reasons you have given me this assignment is also to train me to take on other bigger responsibilities, and I don't take it for granted. It's my pleasure to request you to talk to us.
Thank you very much, Governor-elect Peace. And good morning, everyone on call, the Rotarians, Rotaractors, and the guests that we have. First of all, let me appreciate this initiative, the initiative of working together with the partners, Minister of Health. Minister of Health, we've been working together in other interventions. And friends, as you recall, when our RI president was here, he offered Uganda several pledges and related to supporting disease prevention, including blood bank, dialysis machines, and eye hospitals. Private sector foundation, Uganda Medical Health Practitioners, I thank you so much for the partnerships that we are coming into. And those other partners that you are coming along with, Coca-Cola and the others. This is what we've been talking about in Rotary. Our strength is in working together with other partners because together we are stronger and we create impact. Now, the challenge of COVID-19 is indeed something that we've been talking about. I've been talking about it in the more than 95 clubs I've visited so far. And just to say that Rotary in my district, 9213, Rotarians and Rotractors are more than 5,000. And I believe in district 9214, there are more than 3,500 or so. So we have the numbers to support COVID-19 vaccination. This is not the first time we're doing this kind of thing. We've been undertaking vaccinations, especially polio. We are more known for polio, as you know it. And we have the structures that we've been using to undertake polio vaccination. And I should say Rotary is structured, very structured. And I do believe that when we strengthen our polio structures, and we shall be able to do a lot of work in supporting vaccination for COVID-19. I should say that having said that, the previous speakers have mentioned areas to do with data entry. Let me also say to Minister of Health that we are ready also to support you with data entry. We've got a lot of not only Rotarians, but also the beneficiaries, some of our beneficiaries that we have been supporting, giving training in computer skills in our communities. We've got quite a number under other programs. We have a program called Vijana Power, and we have trained quite a number of young people out there. But we also have our own young people, most of them are Rotractors, who I'm very sure that we can be mobilized to support you. Indeed, I need to request and call on board our fellow colleagues, the Rotarians, that this COVID-19 is something that we are going to live with for quite a long time. And the way I've been talking about it as I promote SOPs and vaccination, there is a lot of vaccine hesitancy out there. And we did start with our own Rotarians, that Rotarians need to vaccinate if we are to go back into our in-person meetings, which we all love. Being social animals, all of us want to get back to our in-person meetings and start seeing each other's faces, those smiles, start hugging, etc., etc. So we've been working along this line to ensure that, first of all, we must vaccinate as Rotarians and Rotractors, and then be able to promote vaccination beyond our clubs. Because if we are not vaccinated, we are not going to give that assurance to our communities. We are not going to be able to communicate through to our communities about the benefits of being vaccinated. So we need to vaccinate and lead by example. And we need, knowing that there is also vaccine hesitancy all over the world. It's something that I need to bring on board, I think, for the communicators like Simon and others. The vaccine hesitancy is real and it might cause conflict even as we promote vaccination. There are those that believe that they have a right not to be vaccinated. But I know that even now in some countries, for example, Nigeria has got mandatory vaccination for all civil servants. In some areas, it's difficult. So we need to see how we manage this communication and how we manage this conflict as we work together to promote vaccination in our communities. So we need to be catalysts for peace ourselves as we drive this change. Let me also say that we need to I request Minister of Health again to share with us the data that they have and be able to guide us on areas that we should be focusing on. We need to be targeted, as Dr. Oraro mentioned. I know we have clubs all over, although most of them are in the central region, but we have clubs all over. And from the map, I saw the big challenges are in the east and the western. So we have clubs all over, and we can be able to move from our own localities into other areas. We have done this before, holding health camps in other areas. So we can easily do it. So we need to be targeted and guide our clubs where we need to be able to support other clubs. Clubs work together, collaborate with one another, create impact in the kind of projects that we do. So we can do the same for COVID-19 vaccination and be able to collaborate with other clubs, give them strength in areas where we need to target, especially those vulnerable people, the vulnerable groups that you mentioned, the elderly, and so on. So friends, the call to action for Rotarians, let's move, let's take this as a priority, because once we have one person sick, we are all not safe. One person can cause anxiety, can cause concern, one person who is sick. We don't want any more death. All of us want to restore health of our society. We always look forward to having a healthy society. Everybody is already concerned about our economy not being opened up. We want to see our economy opened up, schools starting. We want to support the Ministry of Health. We've been supporting Ministry of Health in many areas. The health system, we don't want, our health system is not that very, very strong. So we want to ensure that we support it so that we curtail those things that will impact on our health system. So once we do those, Rotarians, our contribution to society will be remarkable. It will be something that we shall all enjoy as Rotarians. And since we are change makers, we need to cause this change in our communities. Thank you so much for listening.
Thank you so much, our Governor John. And as I take back the mic back to our Changemaker President and the Rotary Club of Kampala Daybreak, I want to thank the presidents we did share a template where all clubs are requested to give us what they think they need. And we see how best we can do it exactly. Thank you very much. That's what I love about you. Please, presidents, fill in this form and share it. I want to thank the Rotary clubs which have already shown working together. That collaboration. The Rotary Club of Kampala South and Namaswa will be at Freedom City. I want to thank them so much. That one we have seen. And I also bring you assurance from the governors on whose behalf I am here to chair this drive, and I would like the clubs to tell me where you need these governors, and I am very convinced that they are a call away and they will be part of this drive. I thank you very much, and over to you back, Frederick.
Thank you very, very much, DG EPs. And thank you very much, our district governor, DG John. And thank you all comrades. And in particular, thank you very much, Simon Kaheru. We have walked all the way with you this far, and I'm sure we'll walk till the very end. Thank you very much, Dr. Charles Olara. I remember you have availed your own office at the ministry to be our waiting room, to be our meeting room. Sometimes I look, one day we'll have a Rotary fellowship there, but thank you very much. Dr. Ian, wow, thank you very much for these great insights. Friends, I want to invite AGE James Onywain to guide us as we weigh in with our comments, questions, but only contributions that could be here. Like DG John has rightly said, one, you cannot take people where you have not been. Let's first and foremost get vaccinated as Rotarians. Secondly, everybody loves a hug. I love a hug. We need to work towards the COVID-free hugs. AG James Onywain, over to you, my brother.
Thank you very much, Changemaker President Frederick. Greetings to everyone on the call, and thanks to the panelists who have really given us a lot of information. And I'll just take one round of questions because of time. I think we have a few minutes now. So on the chat, I picked a number of questions, and I will ask all the panelists to be alert. You take up which question will suit you. The first one is from William Kaguma from RC Kololo. He says he has already done 2 jobs, one in Mbarara, one in Kampala, but seeing his certificate is a problem. I think Dr. Daniel had hinted on this. You can elaborate more. What plans are in place to make sure that the entry of the information into the system is speeded up? We want to hear more about that. There was another question from Serun George Steve. That some of the districts are out of stock. I mean, Wegerere mentioned what Dr. Olara and team are doing about that. Salongo Sunday is asking what can be done, because Canada, even if you've got double jab for Sinovac, they don't recognize it. You are turned away that you are not vaccinated. What is the politics around this? Because some countries are not recognizing certain vaccines. Maybe we need some light into that. Another question from, not really a comment, but a suggestion from Salongo Sand again is, can the Ministry of Health create like a hub, a connecting hub for data entry, so that people can actually go there and give in their cards and they're entered and then they go away? Is it possible to create that kind of a hub? So that's a question to all the panelists. I'm sure even Rotary might have something to say. We can have Rotarians volunteering, Rotaractors volunteering to go into to run these hubs. I remember in the beginning regarding other aspects of this campaign. Another question from Richard Tumesige is that in some cases, I'm told services can only be accessed when you present your vaccination card. Is it something that we can also encourage here, so that people know that to enter a certain building, for example, you must present your vaccination card? Is this something we can go into? What do you think about that? What are your thoughts around that? We know it's sort of a force, but maybe there's a need to have such plans in place as well. That's what Richard Tumesige is suggesting. There's also a question from William Turio, CPA William Turio. You'll forgive me, I've abbreviated the part of the name. Now, e-certificate is not in the system, I think, again, for the certificates. So panelists, then the big question, what can Ministry of Health, and not only Ministry of Health, what can all the partners on this call do to make sure that we demystify the bias on vaccines among the population? There's been a lot of rumors around the social media, which is discouraging people from getting vaccinated. How can we launch a counter campaign which can break down these barriers? Those are the key questions that have come up. I'll just allow one physical question only, unmute and go forward with your question, and then the panelists will come in and shed more light into this topic. Thank you. Flavia?
Hello.
Yes, please.
Good morning, colleagues. Good morning, Rotarians. My name is Flavia Mpanga Kagwa, Rotarian from the Rotary Club of Kampala North, but I also work for UNICEF Uganda. I just wanted to give information that I sit on the COVID-19 Rotary International Task Force that was launched a couple of months ago, and I only started sitting on it about 6 weeks ago. We meet every 2 weeks. I cover 21 countries in East and Southern Africa, and generally at the meetings, we discuss high-level issues related to vaccine equitable distribution of vaccines across the world. So working with WHO and Gavi and all the big giants in vaccine production to make sure that vaccines are distributed equitably around the world, because it's not over anywhere until it's over everywhere. We've been challenged by the Omicron variant recently. So at that meeting, I was also charged with bringing to perspective lessons of best practice from the 21 countries, and certainly what we are doing in Uganda is something that is admirable, getting together with the ministry and with also the private sector to ensure that we can drum up support to deploy these vaccines everywhere. I also know that the Rotary International networks can enable us partner with some clubs so that we can support some of these issues that need to be supported, like allowances for health workers, issues related with SBCC, issues related with making sure we have transport out there to vaccinate as many people as possible. It's good that we are doing one campaign during the week of the 9th, but I think this has got to be a continuous effort like we've done for polio, that we will go right into 2022 doing these sort of endeavors. So my appeal is to DG-elect Peace Teremwa. I think I'll touch base with you to see how we can get all these 26 clubs maybe to put up a joint proposal and come up with our counterpart and with our funding, our funding or contribution, and then tap into resources from the West to make it even a bigger effort coming into 2022. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Flavia. I think panelists, it is now open for you, except I want you to take note of one comment from Alice Akiding from Sunrise, saying that there's so much to do with convincing people in some areas to take the first and even the second jab. We lost and buried a niece of 20 years old last week. She got a J&J, Johnson & Johnson, on a Sunday. She complained of severe headache that night. And on Monday, she got a stroke and blood clots all over her head, according to the CT scan. Or by Wednesday, she was dead. So people in that area are really scared of the vaccine. We need some light into that. Thank you. Over to you. Mr. President, I'm handing over to the panelists.
Colleagues, the panelists, there is one thing that's very clear, that what has been put to us is more technical, and I'm very convinced that our own Dr. Oraro and Dr. Ian are going to give us responses on this. But the general perspective of us, how do we rally people to this drive? One of them is that my friend has said, my friend Mo says, that the only way to begin is to start, and the only way to start is to begin. Let's begin. Let's be there. 10th, 11th, 12th. The doubting Thomas will join us. I just want to think that the most important thing is for us to mobilize ourselves properly, start, and I'm convinced that the benefits much outweigh the problems that we have had. I mean, we got the first jab a week after we got the first jab, a week after delivery. We are still alive. So I think it's just about our own willingness to mobilize others. I want to take back the issue to the doctors so that our job as panelists can be done.
Okay, I will ask Dr. Daniel to respond. Daniel. Okay, Chair, look like Daniel is not there. Let me respond. I might not have captured all of them and I will not respond to them as they came, but on aspect of the comments which were attributed to the RDC on aspect of vaccine restrictions, as a ministry, we saw that this was probably not appropriate because the vaccines, people had not had access to vaccines. Probably we can only apply this to our own staff to avoid them coming to work and increase their uptake of vaccines. So the restrictions are not yet on, but I'm sure that as time goes on, as we avail vaccines, we don't know what will evolve in the new year. And I'm also looking at his statement should be taken in good faith. I think he was trying to mobilize people indirectly. It's not really intended that people will buy vaccines come January. In terms of backlog, this is definitely where we are going to work. Even at the level of the ministry, we have tried to increase initially for every district, or there was data teams, there were only 3 people, but we tried to up this to increase it to 10 people, but we welcome any support in this area. Regarding aspect of I think this is where we need to demystify, as the chair has indicated. We received the vaccines. What we need to know that all those cases which are reported, they develop complications after vaccination in Uganda. Most of them were investigated. There was a story of the girl from Butsema. There are other stories. We sometimes find that there are concurrent morbidities which are resulting to that. So regarding the case of the person who developed clots, first of all, clots develop 1 in every 1 million people who have got vaccinated. But what you need to know that almost 7 or 10 in 10 patients who have got COVID will develop clots. So you'll get more clots when you do it, but we'll continue to investigate all these cases and be able to have. I think the issues of the cards are all still linked up on some of them on the aspect of registration, some of them, but we think that we should be able to avail every person his or her certificate as and when they come. Regarding restrictions, why other countries don't have, I think that's really now the vaccine politics, which is still applying in addition to inequity. We might not be able to handle it as a country, but we still continue to advocate it so that all vaccine, because all these vaccines work, all of them work. So people should not say that this is the vaccine which you want. I think those are the questions. I don't know whether there's any question which I've missed. Back to you, Chair.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Dr. Rara. Friends, as we proceed, I would like to request that you borrow us only 5 minutes to enable us close our fellowship. But before we finish, I want to add a voice to DGE's peace call. First, we appreciate the 17 Rotary clubs that had registered full participation by Monday. And we want to extend this call. You rightly heard it. Please, let's join in. And how do you do this as a club? First and foremost, that form that is being displayed on the screen has been shared across all our platforms. All we need is for you to fill in this form and submit it to us to allow us proper planning so that we know what is at stake. Only that way can we be able to have a seamless vaccination process. So we would request as many clubs as possible, if not all clubs, to participate. I would again request the team that we serve with to circulate this form again immediately after our engagement so that we can immediately start to rally support. But also, if you need any kind of clarification as a club, as a president, as a Rotarian regarding this drive, you are more than welcome to reach out to your president, and the president will reach out to the committee that is in charge, and we will ably respond and guide you accordingly. Lastly, but not the least, allow me request that if you are willing, we have a few committees that are yet to be 100% constituted. The task is still big, running all through to January, as you know. So we would like to have as many people on these teams as possible. So if we reach out to you, please kindly, if you can, offer yourself to serve. Allow me request somebody to give us a befitting vote of thanks. The chosen one, kindly unmute your microphone and give us a befitting vote of thanks in appreciation of these great leaders that have guided us this morning.
Thank you, Mr. President. I hope I'm audible.
You're very audible and clear, PE. Go ahead.
Yes, Mr. President, Rotarians and guests, this is PE Domgura. I wish to say thank you to our able panelists, Dr. Ian, Dr. Charles, and Simon. Thank you very much for sharing these encouraging stats on how we are faring so far. Indeed, there is still a lot for us to do, but you've given us information, you've shared your knowledge on how we can mobilize better and improve on our standing in terms of vaccination stats. DG John and DG Peace, your participation on this panel speaks volumes. Thank you very much. You have put your weight behind the importance of Rotary in helping to scale up vaccinations across the country. DG John, I'm certain Rotarians can read through your message and will respond to your call to action and be inspired to boost this very important campaign. I would like to encourage our Rotary clubs, let us have those forms filled and get more involved in saving humanity from COVID-19. Thank you very much. Over to you, Mr. President.
Thank you very much, PE. I will request you, Rotarian Irene Katende, to give us the statistics of the day in the most precise manner that you can. Irene Katende, over to you, please.
Thank you so much, Mr. President. Members on this call, allow me to share with you a summarized statistics for this morning. We have had 236 participants, 60 visiting clubs, 4 Rotaract clubs, and several guests. Allow me to announce the guests. That is the delegate from Ministry of Health, Israel, Bill, Marion Onyoy, Daniel, and Simon Kaheru. For the clubs, I'm sorry, I've not mentioned the clubs. We'll share the list of visiting clubs on the various platforms before the close of today. Thank you so much, Mr. President, and over to you.
Thank you very much, Super Admin, like indeed we call you. True to your word, we'll be awaiting that list of visiting and participating Rotary clubs. Friends, I want to say thank you very, very, very much. First and foremost to our district leaders. It is quite unusual to have 6 governors in a fellowship, but this clearly stipulates how serious and important this call of us to mobilize our communities for vaccination is important. I want to thank you very much, PDG Xavier Sentam. Thank you very much. It's been a great honor to have you. Our own and our leader, DG John Magezi, thank you very much for leading from the front. As usual, we really appreciate your leadership. And I tell you, I look forward to a day when all this is said and done, to say, hey, look, your call delivered this number of vaccinations at the end of the tunnel. And indeed, we will. DG EPs, you have held the bull by the horns. Thank you very much for being selfless in this drive. And I know that your efforts will never and are not in vain. DGE, Honorable Dr. Mike Sebaru, I know you're always here with us. We appreciate the work that you have done and you're doing behind the scenes. Thank you very much. Your support and presence is greatly appreciated and honored. District Governor nominee Francisco Semwanga, it is indeed a great joy and a great honor for you to be with us, but not just being with us. It is a great joy to serve with you along the committee that is working tirelessly to see to it that this great campaign becomes a success. And my friend DGN, Edward Kakembo, thank you very much for the great support, and your presence is not taken for granted, but rather really, really appreciated. I want to thank the district leaders and the officials from District 9214. Not only are you our international partners, you are our friends. Thank you very much. Thank you, DG EPs, again, for leading these great people. POP donor, thank you very much. DCC Sam Wanje, really appreciate your mobilization of District 9214 to join us in this very important call. When I come to the First Assistant Governors, thank you, Changemaker Ages, led by our Dean of Ages. We really appreciate you. And my comrades, the Changemaker Presidents. Wow, thank you very much. But I like to say that the journey begins now. Let's mobilize our members, first and foremost to take the jabs, but also to participate in this great campaign. I thank you so very much, and I welcome you, Rotarian Wilberforce Amanya, to give us the final toast as we get to close our fellowship this very morning. Wilberforce Amanya, please. In the absence of Wilberforce Amanya, I will invite you, VP Dorothy Achan, kindly give us the final toast.
President, can I step in?
100%.
Okay, for a wonderful, engaging fellowship we've had, can we toast to Rotary International?
Rotary the world over.
Rotary the world over. Thank you,
Thank you
guys.
very much, friends. God bless you and make you
blessed as well.
Rotary world over.
Oh, Rotary
Rotary
world over. That little voice.
Thank you, Patience, for stepping in.
Kale, no worries.
Always an honor.
No worries.
I finished saying Rotary world over.
Marion, that's a young one.